Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be talking about the energy and astrology and some intuitive messages I have for the month of March 2023. Really excited, so I'm just going to go ahead and get right into it. So we're going to start with some intuitive messages first, and then we'll talk about the major astrology ingression, or the major ingressions going on in the second half of the video. So something I was intuitively feeling is there are so many energy shifts here, consciousness shifts, maybe even timeline shifts, shifting in small mundane things like what we do for work, who we're in a relationship with, where we live. It is movie energy, moving. Why? We have so many planets in mutable signs. Mutable signs are about being flexible and adaptable and shifty. Now, I was watching the, I believe, full moon in Virgo video by Pam Gregory. I'll link it down below. And something that Pam said was, don't infect the future with past toxicity. All right, so we have all these things shifting. We have all this newness coming in. Let's not infect it with old BS, okay? With old toxic people, toxic mindsets, toxic habits. This time period, especially the first half of March, you are meant to detox that. Pisces energy. We have a lot of Pisces energy going on in the first half of March. And that energy is going to ask you, it's going to invite you to retreat. All right, retreat for a second, go inward, meditate, reflect, heal. See where you have been so you kind of get a better idea of where you're headed. Okay, sometimes where you've been can hold clues to where you're headed next. Don't get stuck there though, because in the later half of the month we're going to have a lot of Aries energy, and it's going to be time to make a move, or it's going to be time to start to initiate. But in this first half of March, we want to retreat. Okay, so yes, we have all these energy shifts, consciousness shifts, timeline shifts. Well, this energy is going to, I think, spark a little bit of anxiety in people. It can spark a little bit of fear. People are scared that they can't see the outcome, and how things are going to shift and where it's all going to go. People are doubting themselves and their ability to step up to the plate, but the thing is, you won't get that home run unless you do step up to the plate. And you're going to need to remember who the heck you are. And I think that's what March is remembering who the heck you are. Now, this new wave of energy coming in, if you want to ride with it, you got to think of like a surfer riding a wave, waiting for the right wave. All right, a surfer is not going to hop on every single wave that they see. They wait for their cue, for that perfect wave. And that's what you're going to do. Wait for your cue. Wait for that initiation or invitation, or just like green light from the universe. Another way to look at this is like someone jumping rope, trying to jump into like a double dutch rope game. Like they're waiting for that perfect moment to jump in and join the energy. That's how you're going to have to adapt to all these shifts. It's not going to be easy, that's easier said than done too. Some of these shifts are going to be like difficult, it'll make certain squares and whatnot to certain signs, and I'll talk more about that in the astrology portion. But I think it is important right now, especially towards just this entire month, to be building up your inner fire, chi, if you believe in chi, that inner flame inside of you that is sacred. Start to let that burn. Start to build that up. Start to ignite yourself. And how is that done? Is that through how are you inspired? How are you motivated? These are the questions we should ask ourselves. For me, when I feel my inner fire is burnt out, it is out, odds are I'm tired and drained and burnt out. So what I need to restart it is like a nice hot relaxing bath. Try to learn that's part of yourself this month. Because I think at the end of the month, there is going to be a huge spark here. We do have a collection of planets in the sign of Aries at the end of the month, and certain planets that would have been passing through Aries. And so there is this moment here where things are really fiery and things have to be passionate and motivated and driven and moving forward. And, when we're talking about the energy of moving forward, when we're talking about these slow moving planets suddenly making shifts, we have to look at our choices and how impactful that can be long term. Think smart, all right? As you move forward. I remember watching this TikTok video the other day, and this girl was talking about how when she was in college, she was talking to her friend. She was like, oh, what sorority were you going to do? And her friend, even in college, was like, well, if I join this sorority, I'm going to make a lot of really powerful connections, like here in the state. Super powerful, the best connections here in the state. But if I choose the other sorority, I'm going to make a lot more connections internationally. So it all really depends on what I want to do in the future. And, the girl who asked the question was like taken back a little. She was like, wow, even at this, young age, this person is, thinking long term. And she realized, that's how people who build steadiness in their lives, who build wealth in their life, who build stability in their life, that's how they think. All right. So we kind of have to move into that thinking right now if we want that in this upcoming chapter. Okay. And one thing too is I think that this changing energy is going to be a little fast paced. All right. There is going to be this little sense of like maybe time moving a little bit quickly lately. And that's, we have all planets direct too. So that's also adding to that feeling. But so much of this energy just signals endings, signals wrapping up an era, signals needing to retreat and rest and detox, and then be ready to start again, be ready to initiate something new, be ready for a new wave. That is like March in a summer and summed up. And you'll hear a lot of astrologers being like, this is the month of the year, like this is the one we've all been waiting for. And it's true. But I also think that this will take time to play out because you have slow moving planets changing signs. The funneling of that planet and its energy into us is also going to be slow. And one thing I do want to say too, just intuitively, is I noticed there's so much like end of the world scares that you will get as Pluto is on the 29th degree. That's something that kind of happens every time, is this end of the world feeling, because it's an end of an era. Pluto does not move signs often at all. It's like every 15 years-ish about. And so it does mark the end of an era. That's why it's a planet that symbols generations. And so a whole energy that was, being put into a generation's natal chart is ending. And we have Pluto changing signs this month. So, be mindful of that end of the world, news and energy. Like, try not to let that scare you and know that it's happened before. And this is also only a preview. Pluto's going to be doing like a little bit of a dance, where it retrogrades back into Capricorn and then it goes back into Aquarius, and it's a slow dance as well. And I'll talk more about that once we get through all the intuitive messages. I think it's also important to review your independence and your strength and your power with all this Aries energy coming in. What makes you feel empowered? What makes you feel strong? What makes you feel independent? Commit to that. Okay? Also, there was this quote that I heard from Avatar, about rebirth, and I just had to note it in the intuitive messages because I thought it was very true. And the quote goes, "The Navi say everyone is born twice. The second time is when you earn your place amongst the people forever." That was a quote by the character Jake Sully. And I thought that was so true. If you've ever gone through like a major tower moment, which I have, you know, like how that literally can feel like a whole ego death. That I feel like everything just ended. Everything's just done. And it does kind of feel like you're being reborn again, because the next chapter is so new. It feels like all the context has been wiped out. And I feel like that could be happening for some of you. If it's already happened to you, it's not going to happen again, because like this card says, you know, we're only born twice. So once you go through that period where you have that major rebirth, I don't think you go through it again. All right, you paid your dues. So don't worry, you're fine. But if you haven't, this can definitely be a time where if you're going through this right now, just know that this is the one necessary tower moment. And after that, you really find yourself. You really find your place amongst this earth. So trust the process. Trust the process of pruning things away. Trust the process of learning your new self, of letting go of old narratives and old contexts. And I think that for everyone, March is really going to be about getting clues about how you're going to be a part of this new chapter. Getting clues to that. And you may not get the full story, but you're going to start getting clues. And I think it's important to not make this new chapter, like I said, about the past or about anyone else. Really root it in a place of love. Really root it in how you see like the higher version of yourself. Okay, really root it in progress. Really root it in health as well, from a healthy place, healthy mind, healthy heart. Really work on health right now. We'll get into that too, because we have Virgo full moon coming up. Now, one of my last intuitive messages is watching like overconfidence. I think it's important right now to be confident, because as you're moving into new terrain, you can't be scared, right? You need to be confident. And so it is important to have that fire burning within you. But I also think it's important to control it and to not let it come off as arrogance, which it can easily do. It's a fine line, and that's one we all dance with and we all mess with sometimes, and we all, you know, get a little arrogant sometimes. We're humans. It's normal. Sometimes we just gotta check ourselves. Are you being a Selena or are you being a Haley about it? Okay. Anything else I want to say? I don't think so. I do have a journal prompt for you, which is, what's your style? What is your style? What is your style of doing what you do? All right, because that's also a question of Aries energies. How do I do it? I may not do it the way other people do it, but how do I do it? And if people don't like how I do it, they can, you know, they can suck it. They could suck it. So that was my final intuitive message. We're going to go ahead and get into just the week-to-week astrology real quick. I'll break it down in the description box down below. Week 1 of March 2023, we're going to have Mercury entering Pisces on the 2nd. So Mercury is, the relationship between Mercury and Pisces is it is debilitated, and that's because Mercury is like very much of this world, of the earth. And Pisces energy is like outer worldly, it's boundless. Mercury's energy is about system. Pisces energy is about boundlessness. Mercury's energy is, you know, about small thinking, small talk, small moves. Pisces energy is void energy, vast energy, really wide, like negative space energy. So they just don't mesh well together. It's not Mercury's favorite, so that's why it's debilitated. But that's not always a bad thing. Mercury's just gonna have to work a little differently here. And so one thing that I think is important is to feel out the experience. This month can be really emotional. We have Mars moving into Cancer later in the month. We have lots of Aries energy. Aries energy is very emotional. So we want to feel out the experience and give ourselves a safe space to do that, and to not make any rash decisions either, until you felt it out completely. All your feelings, all your emotional responses, feel it out completely, let yourself relax, and then let the mind come in and maybe try to make a decision. This energy can sometimes have difficulty separating out truth. You can have difficulty separating out its emotions from like logic and from truth. It can just not see things super clear. And so I think to really utilize this Mercury and Pisces energy, we want to retreat and go inward, like I said. Use that energy to communicate with the universe, because that's what it's good at. Mercury's the messenger, and it's the communicator, and it's in Pisces where it is, kind of being asked to communicate on a higher plane. And if you are someone who's good at that, then you can really utilize this energy to do that, to meditate, to communicate with yourself, your subconscious, to do healing in that way. This is a great time for written arts like poetry and music. This is also a really good time to, I think, work behind the scenes as well, doing the planning and the prep work, and kind of like holding the magic in for yourself a little bit here, holding the ideas in and letting it brew here. Because then when we move into all that Aries energy, we're initiating. But here we're letting things brew. We're thinking about it. We're feeling it out. We're getting the vibe. We're tapping into the senses. And we're kind of like letting information come through the senses, which is something I think a lot of us have forgotten how to do. We think information comes through just the mind and like other people, but you can get a lot of information through your emotions. You can get a lot of information through your body and how it's responding to things. Your pores are like these, just your pores can absorb lots of energy, and energy can hold information, and it can like relay it to your nervous system. We're getting a little esoteric there, but if you believe in that, yeah. And so that, I think, this Mercury and Pisces energy is good for that. Okay. Reading the room before you're even in the room. Then March 7th, we have Saturn entering Pisces, and it's going to do a little dance in Pisces. It'll retrograde in June and then move direct in November. And this energy, I think, will maybe provide water signs with some benefits. It'll trine you. The fixed signs are going to feel relief now that Saturn's not squaring them anymore. And then it might be the mutable signs that end up feeling a little bit of that pressure. And Saturn and Pisces energy is another kind of clash, because Saturn energy is very tangible and real. It's about structures and karma and authority figures. But Pisces energy is about boundlessness and service. Not having authority is about being of service. It's about being a part of something greater than yourself, and watery, mystical, intuitive, feminine, beautiful energy. So Saturn is also in its detriment here. It's also kind of like not the most comfortable in the sign of Pisces. So this will come with difficulties. But like I said, there's always a way to use the energy in its more beneficial and stronger ways as well. I think there's a strength and weakness to everything. But this can definitely bring in a lot more structure and discipline and groundedness when it comes to our spiritual practices, our subconscious, and our spiritual beliefs, mental health, and emotional boundaries. This could also maybe bring in new talk of like spiritual laws. If you're in the spiritual community, we could maybe hear, some more grounded approaches and spiritual laws coming out. People probably won't like all that esoteric, like I hate the word woo-woo, but woo-woo stuff. People are not going to like that during Saturn in Pisces. People are going to want the spiritual talk to make fucking sense, for it to be real, for it to have evidence, for it to be backed up and grounded. And I could also see this energy of karma. Saturn is like made its way through all the zodiac signs, and now it's like in the sign of Pisces, which is the last sign. So there is like this major ending. We're getting again another, another clue here of this being an era of endings. This Saturn Pisces energy could show like karma ending, really deep rooted, difficult karma ending, karmic bonds ending, and new ones starting up. And I think we need to be mindful of our impulses and how we can impulsively create new karmic bonds here. All right. But that'll be probably more of like a Saturn and Aries thing. But while Saturn is in Pisces, this is the ending and the wrapping up. And Saturn will be in Pisces for like 2.5 years, 2-ish years. So it'll be a 2-year process. Like I said, that will bleed. Saturn is a slower moving planet, so that energy will bleed in slower. I think this is also great energy for thinking long term, because Pisces energy is kind of like the finish line. It's kind of like it's has a greater like hierarchy in terms of maturity over the other signs, and there's just a gift of foresight with the energy of Pisces. So I think this energy can be very good for trying to think long term and starting to maybe just dream about it, and bringing it in. That's going to be an interesting thing. Saturn in Pisces energy can have difficulty materializing, but then when it learns to materialize, it materializes the impossible. It materializes the dream, the things we've been dreaming of. The big, crazy dreams that sound impossible can become possible if Saturn learns to materialize itself with the Pisces energy, which it will. It will just take some time to funnel in. Okay. And then March 7th, same day, we also have a full moon in Virgo. And I like that because I think that brings in a grounded and practical, organized energy, and we really need it. We really freaking need it with all this Pisces and Aries energy. Those two signs, not the most grounded. So really tune into this Virgo moon, really listen to it, take time to get organized, use that energy to get organized and optimize. There's a reason it's happening right now. It's happening when we need it most. And it's, I think, also a huge cleansing and healing period. Virgo rules over the Pisces Virgo axis rules over health. So there is going to be this topic of health. There is going to be major healing and relief coming in. And Virgo energy wants things to work like a clock. All right. It wants things to work like a clock, on time, in routine, every single time. So see where that's needed in your life. Make that happen. And Pam made a point too that some Pam Gregory's Virgo full moon Virgo video, she made a point that the Pisces Virgo axis rules over medicine, but more specifically medicine that the earth can give us. And I thought that was interesting. So this could be a really fun time for the herbal girlies out there. Okay, the herbalists out there, share what you know, because this is going to be a time where I think people really appreciate that. And one thing that I like about Virgo energy is that it's precise. So I think hopefully we can get a little bit more of like precise answers, precise plans coming in here. And I think another thing with this energy is that also the Pisces Virgo axis, I think, can be very powerful for forgiveness. And it's because this is a space where forgiveness can happen, where you have Virgo, the critical person who sees the flaws, but then you have Pisces, the empathetic person who can understand and maybe find space for forgiveness. So I think forgiveness can be a very powerful time here. If you need to apologize to someone, or if you need to hash things out or make closure, like, do it now. This is the era of endings. This is the era of putting it behind you and letting go of those old karmic dramas. Not even karmic they're just dramas. Letting go of the old dramas. So forgiveness can be good here, and I think it will, not everything is forgivable. I understand that, but I think that lightening your load in that way as much as possible is gonna help you just transition into your new era way smoother. Now, Virgo and Pisces energies also rules over service. And so be careful of like people pleasing. We want our boundaries around that right now. During, while this energy, it's like there's this little Pisces stellium happening. We want to be careful of that people pleasing nature and really have boundaries around that. And I also think it's important to not get paralyzed by any overcritical thoughts that could come up while we have this full moon in Virgo. Try to let things happen naturally too. Sometimes Virgo forgets that, to just let things happen naturally. All right, so then we have week 2. Week 2 seems pretty chill. There's no ingresses. March 15th we'll have Sun conjunct Neptune in Pisces, and that can, that happens once a year. It's just not a major thing, and that energy to me usually shows like an illumination of like our blind spots and any delusions we may have. Sun can like burn that away, but since it's in the sign of Pisces, Neptune is a little stronger here. And so sometimes Neptune can bring in either like an ego, some type of ego illusion going on. And and I say that we're like, we don't really see ourselves. We don't really understand ourselves. Or if it's being used if it's being manifested or funneling through in a more positive way, it can illuminate the future. It can really show us intuitively, like through dreams and through third eye, through our intuitive abilities, whatever that is for you. Through that, it can show you clues to the future. Moving on to week 3, we will have Venus entering Taurus March 16th. And I think that this will be a time when people will be putting, I'm channeling persistence and endurance, and that having a lot of value. Being persistent, being endurance, that having a lot of value, that having a lot of payoff. Another thing I'm getting with this is the basic needs, some type of balancing out and healing there, where I think we can maybe start to get those basic needs out that we have been lacking. We can give ourselves that. We can get access to that. And I think this is also about checking in with our relationships. Venus rules over relationships, and the sign of Taurus is about that long run and that stability. And so checking in to see if our relationships can, match up for that. Is it for the long run? Is it stable? Or is it going to crumble throughout all these energetic shifts and tower moments going on? I think that this time it can also be very good for connecting with Earth. Taurus energy, every Taurus now very connected to either earth or people, plants, even food, things like that. Finding joy in that as well, some peace in that. And then we'll have Mercury entering Aries March 19th, so it's moving pretty fast this month. And when Mercury was in Pisces, we were dreaming, we were meditating, we were retreating. But when it enters Aries, now we're initiating, and we're trying to make those dreams come true. We're speaking our mind, we're speaking out whatever we were suppressing during the Mercury and Pisces energy. And I think what's important here again is to wait out impulses and emotions. Don't speak from that impulsive and emotional place. It may not be easily controllable with Mercury and Aries, but if you can, try to just bite your tongue and wait out the impulse and the emotional wave. If you still feel the same after and you feel like you want to say that, then say that. But let me tell you, if you're going to say it, follow through, because follow through is also important with Mercury and Aries. And whatever you say, follow through, back it up. Like if it's BS and there's no real foundation to whatever it is you're saying, it's going to get called out. Now, big day here, March 20, we'll have the sun entering Aries. This is the astrological new year and the spring equinox. And so this is a very important time to do your spring cleaning, set new intentions here for your new beginning, and let things come to an energetic end. And by this time, March 20, we really want to be looking into like a fresh start for ourselves in some kind of way. And then literally the next day, March 21, we have a new moon in Aries. So new moons, as you may already know, represent setting new beginnings and setting new intentions. And this is one out of 2 new moons we're going to have this year in the sign of Aries. So we'll have one March 21 and we'll have one April 20, and that'll be a solar eclipse. So we have 2. So there's whatever house Aries rules in your chart, there's a lot of newness there, and you're going to need to be courageous. You need to be brave. You need to back yourself up, and you need to get strong for that. Get strong. Light that fire beneath you. Inspire yourself, inspire other people. Be brand new. Be free to be yourself too. Give yourself permission to be free to be yourself in whatever house Aries rules. If that's in the 10th house, that's work. If that's in the 4th house, that's the home. If that's in the 11th house, it's amongst your friends. If that's in the 9th house, it may be in terms of your educational practice. Wherever it is that Aries is, give yourself permission to be free. Okay? So interesting. And then week 4, we have Pluto entering Aquarius March 23. It's going to dip into the sign of the Aquarius, and then it'll retrograde in May, and then dip into the sign of Capricorn in June, and then it'll move direct, and it'll do this dance for a few years of going retrograde and direct. So we're just getting a taste of this Pluto and Aquarius energy. And I've made a few predictions about Pluto and Aquarius already. I'll link videos to that down below. I might make an updated video where I dive more in depth and I go through Pluto and Aquarius for all the rising signs. If you guys want that, let me know, and I'll work on it for you. And if not, then that's chill. I'm just here to deliver the messages. It's funny, in sidereal astrology, I am a double Gemini, and I kind of like that. And in tropical astrology, I have Gemini ruling my 12th. So if I'm going to talk about anything, it's going to be about these esoteric things. Okay. And then March 25th, we are going to have Mars enter Cancer. Interesting. We'll, I think, feel a little bit of relief because it's out of Gemini and it's been in Gemini forever. But Mars is also not super strong in Cancer. It's gonna add another emotional layer, all right, on top of that Saturn and Pisces energy and all that Aries energy we're having this is going to add another emotional layer. But I think how we can use this in a more positive way is healing the family roots, the family lineage, the home space, and the internal world. Another way we could use this in a more positive way is Mars rules over cuts. And Cancer rules over the past. Cutting that past. We just had that astrological new year. We had all these shifts happen. This is the time to make cuts with the past. Purge the emotional space. Purge it. We have the elements of fire here with Mars and water here with Cancer. So things like hot baths are going to be awesome. Things where you sweat a lot, like hot yoga or like saunas, hot springs, those will be awesome. And I really feel like Mars is going to come up here to clean up any karmic patterns that we are just clinging on to. Cancer energy can be the clinger energy. And Mars is going to be like, nope, we need to let that go. And I'm going to cause friction in this area if you don't. And again, write out your emotional wave. Be smart about that. Be aware of that. Be journaling about that. Talking about that. Healthily channeling your emotions. I think if you don't, there could be a lot of damage done to the heart health, emotional heart health, or the mental health, or the nervous system, if we're just keeping in our emotions and we're not purging them out, we're not letting them release. So let's figure out what your vibe is. Is it talking to a therapist? Is it talking to an astrologer? Is it working out? I think working out with the intention of releasing emotions is going to be so freaking good for Mars and Cancer. It's like using those emotions to make yourself strong as motivation to make your body physically strong. I like that a lot. And those are, the major ingresses for March. There's a lot happening, right? I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if you would like, tarot maybe reading for the March energy, or maybe like a Gene Keys message for March energy. Or if you feel like the astrology covered it and all that might be repetitive, let me know. I am always open to critique. I like critique when it's nice, when it's done in a respectful way. When it's mean, I don't like that. I have an Aries 10th house. I'm feisty. I'm not scared to get feisty. But yeah, all right then. I hope you guys have a wonderful, fiery, passionate, devoted, driven, purposeful, healing month of March. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.